Welcome to the weekly Woodcast with Dennis and Michael Woodworth, and our special guest today, who's actually a personal friend of mine that I coached in baseball years ago. Almost seems like, well, it has been decades ago. The owner and operator of 902 Athletics, Joel Holland. Welcome to the show, Joel.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you because we're going to dig into some things today. I think that people around the globe, we have a webcast or a podcast that deals with global topics from a community perspective, which really what we're excited about is talking about fitness and nutrition today. Mm-hmm. From somebody that, has lost 60, 70 pounds in his life at one time, or actually two times. We really want to dig into some information today to help people gain a knowledge base of understanding of how to build a foundation to be able to live a healthier lifestyle. Yep. Not so much about losing weight, but actually a healthier lifestyle.
Just a healthy, active lifestyle, living better, feeling better. And our thing is we have a fitness community. We built a community here in Bridgewater, and people come to us because they want to be a part of something bigger than them.
Right.
And we've been able to supply that for the past 6 years from grassroots, from pure straight up grassroots.
Absolutely.
And,
I remember.
I take great pride in every single person that walks through our doors daily and being able to change their lives for the better, make them feel better. It's mental, physical, and everything for the type of training we do at 902.
I mean, it's almost like a school teacher, if you think about it, like a school teacher that teaches a student. They're a graduate of a school, and you're proud to teach them. Very similar.
It's funny you say that. I have multiple teachers who are now my clients.
Yeah,
so the roles have reversed.
That's pretty cool. Very cool.
My grade 7 teacher, 7, 8, 9 teacher from Bayview, Deanna Rotting, she's been one of my longtime members and most dedicated people from my garage. And it's so cool to be able to grow up and be able to educate them on what we do now and how we can help better them. So
talk about how the average person in a 24-hour time frame, they make a decision that they want to lose weight. I know how much time and research it took me to do it on my own. To be able to access a facility like yours would have saved me a lot of time because your knowledge base is already there. So talk about your staff, talk about the people that are on the team, very similar to a coaching staff on a professional sports team or whatever the case may be.
So my focus has always been from the business standpoint and bringing in what I don't know. And having professionals and those people that I can't provide the service for. So we have a professional dietitian on staff. We have 2 locations, which one has now been taken over, and we've partnered with Atlantic Sport Performance.
Right.
And bringing in people that can make sure that the job is done above and beyond what anybody could ever think of seeing in Bridgewater. When I grew up, we didn't have a sport performance, and we didn't have a facility like 902.
Very true.
It was the Y, which there's nothing wrong with the Y.
No.
It's just a different type of training.
Very much.
We want to educate, we want to inspire, we want to teach, we want to give people knowledge so that when they walk through the doors, they don't have to think. So essentially, we have 10 coaches at 902. We have a dietitian. We have a sport performance coach, and the biggest focus is those people being able to give all that information to the community.
Right.
Yeah. So it's important because I can't do it all, and I need to surround myself and bring people in that can do a better job or as equal of something that I would do on a daily basis. Because I got to a point when I started this journey when I wasn't the main focal point. People were like, "Well, we paid for Joel," and it's about educating my staff and giving them the resources so that they can be the best version of themselves for our community. Whether it's continuing education, for example, on November 7th, we're doing a staff summit. And we're getting neurological testing done. So we're getting neurotyped. So there's different types, neurotypes, type 1,
Absolutely.
type 2, type
Absolutely.
3, 3AB. And it's based off of what type of training you respond to, what type of nutrition that you should be using in
Absolutely.
your daily training. We're getting Jason Lamond, a local guy here that does VO2 max and Moxie testing. And we're going to test one of our athletes, and then we're going to take that data and we're going to put it up on the board and show our staff how to build a training program based off of science. So an actual training program that we get directly from a VO2 max test. And then we're bringing in our head physiotherapist. We're talking about injuries that we see, injury prevention. With the stuff that we do at 902, it's not just like isolation. It's a full body most days.
Right.
So we are moving odd objects. We're moving barbells. We're moving our bodies over a bar. We're jumping over a box. So we have to make sure, and we always have to be on our game at 902, because if we're not, people, they do have certain things that will happen to them, but that happens to them no matter what they're doing in daily life. So our focus is to keep people moving as long as we possibly can, keep them healthy, and enjoy their life and create a long-lasting effect.
I was watching 2 videos on Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's personal trainer on how he specifically individualized their training.
Yep.
And it's such a complex way of training because each individual is different. Even Michael and Kobe are very similar,
Yep.
but they're very different too.
And that relates exactly to, we do group classes, but we don't want to be known as a group fitness class. We want to be known as every single person who walks through the door. And even though the workout is the same on the board, we want to be able to specifically scale, modify, change, and give that person the workout that they should be getting.
Of course.
My mother, for example,
I was just going to bring her up,
who's 71 years old and having a hip replacement next week, a full hip replacement. She's still coming to the gym daily, and she's doing the same workouts that I do. Some of our high-level athletes do, but it's modified. It's modified by the individual's needs. We're not asking my mother to clean and jerk.
Yeah, no
full
kidding,
full
right?
bottom out squat clean, at the heaviest weight she can possibly hit.
She'd probably get pretty upset at you, too.
Yes, she would be. She wouldn't be coming back. On that note of too, like trying to surround ourselves with people that make us better. Like I just invested in a mentor myself.
Of course.
Of a mentor to who has been in the game of CrossFit and functional fitness and the training that they've done. I mean, she's been doing it for, I think, 15 years now. I've been doing it for 6. She's a multi-million-dollar company.
Exactly.
Where I want to get to that point. I don't want to have, I would like to have maybe one more facility. That might be a goal of mine, but the next step is to expand the facility to the final product and just do Bridgewater the best service I possibly can.
Well, and I don't want to get too much into that today in this subject, but really in regards to any kind of business model, to grow as an entrepreneur means you need to multiply.
Yeah.
Which you're doing the right thing because you can't be in every facility.
Nope.
Your philosophies, your concepts can, but you can't physically be there. And that's what whether it's McDonald's, which is not a great example, but in regards to franchising or multiplication, it is a good example. If you have a proven system that works, then you just multiply that system by 1, 10, 100, 10,000, or 100,000.
And it's the same thing too, is you have to bring in the right people when you're not there, because
100%.
if you don't have the right people behind you and understanding why you're doing certain things, that negativity gets built up and you don't really get the response that you need in that second facility.
Do you think the word would be, instead of hiring someone, you would empower them?
Absolutely.
If you empower them,
yeah,
they're multiplying your effort.
And that's where a franchise comes from.
100%.
You know what I mean? Where it's you get a certain percentage, or you get value.
But they follow your complete process.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, it's
I totally agree. Before we get into the fitness part of it, let's talk about the foundation, which is nutrition. And I know it's not your specialty.
No, which is why I brought in.
Of course. But still, there's some basics.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
you eat specific things per day for a reason.
Yep.
Right? So let's talk about, because there's a lot of different diets out there. I don't even call them diets. I call them lifestyle changes.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's the way you should look at it.
That's all it is.
I don't even believe in diets anymore. I believe in eating for long term.
100%.
You shouldn't try to diet. You should try to make lifestyle changes.
Smart choices.
Smart choices daily.
And you can, I mean, the pizza shops or whatever, you can still do those things. They're not going to end your life, but it can't be something you do repetitively on a daily basis.
You just need moderation.
Yeah. So foundation-wise, what would you say would be a typical day for diet or for lifestyle? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so different for everyone. But my background is competitive CrossFit, not at the games level in any way.
But still.
But I do CrossFit competitively. I still lift heavy weights daily, which I absolutely enjoy. And it's about getting the fuel for me right now.
Yeah.
Getting enough fuel and getting the right fuel.
Well, isn't that what food is?
Yeah.
And water. I mean.
Yeah, and hydration.
It's fuel.
Sleep. Sleep is so important.
100%.
It should be factored into the nutrition aspect.
Really should be.
You know, sleep. People go out and they train their asses off. And then they go home, and then maybe they're getting 5 hours of sleep a night. And they come back and they wonder why they're not recovering, but they're eating well.
Well, and on top of that, not just sleep, Joel, but deep sleep, right? Like that REM sleep, where that's where your recovery is really coming from. The problem is, like for me, I can tell you personally, the hard thing for me to do is sleep because there's so many things in my mind that doesn't shut off entrepreneurially. So when you have that effect on your body, you don't recover as well.
I totally agree. Yeah. And I mean, I see it in my mom. My mom sleeps 2 hours a night.
Wow.
And her body's breaking down on her. And now it's becoming it's becoming so mentally exhausting to do something on a daily basis because she's not sleeping.
What would be, in your opinion, the average amount of sleep someone should have?
I would say 7 to 9 hours. 9 on the high end, 7 on the low end is extremely beneficial. And then water is so important. That's what our body's made up of, right? Like so many people take for granted how much water they should be consuming. Like I carry this around with me every single day.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't leave my side. And on top of that, coffee, anything that they're taking that actually, alcohol, anything that's going to dehydrate you.
It will, because that's a diuretic.
Right. You need to be taking all those things into account.
And add more water to it.
If someone were to just start out simple by drinking enough water and realizing the difference on a daily basis of how they feel just by being hydrated as opposed to not.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as going to the bathroom and peeing and looking at the color of your urine. And
big difference, isn't it?
Right? I mean, it's extremely important. That's part of nutrition as well. I mean, I on a daily basis, like right now I'm trying to gain weight. As you told me, or we talked about, I have ulcerative colitis.
Right.
And I went through a pretty bad flare-up
I remember
4.5 years ago. I lost 75 pounds.
I remember.
Yeah, and I almost had my colon removed. But I've completely changed how I think about, like, I barely drink anymore. Like I'll drink maybe once every 2 months because it affects me. It really does affect me. It affects my training. And before all this happened, I used to be so focused on aesthetics of how I looked when I trained. And now it's all about performance. And that's what CrossFit has shifted me to and how I feel. And that's the main focus of what I've done because I'm a performance athlete, baseball.
Yeah.
And you train to perform, not train to how you look. And there's different styles of training, bodybuilding, but I feel and enjoy training to perform.
I think one of the things in society that I've learned is that we kind of judge people sometimes too much based on what they look like what job they have, you know, what car they drive, what clothes they wear. I used to always remember a long time ago, 30 years ago, when an old farmer would come up and buy a vehicle or something, and they'd pay for the vehicle in cash. You judge them based on they're an old farmer, and then they come up and they pay for something in cash. I think when you get into the depth of an individual, you look beyond those surface-based items in life. That's when you really get to know somebody.
And on that note, that's what I've tried to model my facility.
Good.
When someone walks through the door, there's no judgment.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. Like when you walk in, and I'll use the word, overweight. It's not, oh, what are they doing here? It's, how can we help? What can we do for you? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? And then it's the support of the community that keeps people coming back.
Well, I think one of the things would be difficult is the decision to actually ask for help, especially if you are overweight, to be able to find the right people. And like you say, building a team and empowering people to be able to build a culture that you have there, I think goes far beyond the word gym, right? Like we have a lot of gyms.
Right? It's a family.
Right? There's a lot of gyms, but there's very few cultures. And that's why I've always been interested in following your progress, because you evolve. There's still gyms today that are the old Arnold Schwarzenegger gold gyms that go in and pound weights every day and look in the mirror at themselves and say, God, I look great, right?
Yeah.
But then there's the other parts of their lives that are a mess, an absolute mess.
Yeah.
So I think building a culture allows you to build a society of people for support too.
Yep. Yeah, the support system is huge. When someone finishes a class, it's not, all right, get out.
Yeah.
It's, how was your workout? And it's not just when you finish a class, but when you walk in. My first thing that I try to do with every single person that walks through our door, when they get to their square, because with COVID,
right? Yeah, no kidding.
I walk around and I say, how you doing today? How you feeling? How'd you sleep? And it's important too, because injuries happen, and sometimes they can happen in the gym, but it's not a product of what actually happened in the gym.
Exactly.
It's their actual recovery methods outside the gym, their stress levels at work, their stress levels with their family, sleep, how much they're actually getting out of their daily routine. It's a whole product.
There's a phrase I've used and I've taught around the world is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So you're showing that empathy. When Michael Graves was here yesterday in our podcast about we need to be empathetic to people, and there's so much less empathy in society today. We're so superficial, and when you have a culture like you've built, and that's why I brought you here, is to share on the secret of what it's been for you. And what I admire about you is that journey's never over.
Never.
You've never, I don't think you'll ever reach the destination.
There is no destination.
Which is great. I love it.
Yeah, it's on the empathy note, it's extremely important from a coaching aspect to understand, for example, if I can do a pull-up,
right,
or if I can do a ring muscle-up,
right,
or if I can do a heavy squat clean, but those people don't, and they just can't get it. You have to empathize with them and understand coming from their perspective so that you can coach them to the best of your ability. Because it's easy to say, oh, just do this, just do this. But you don't understand what is their actual limiting factor, the things that they feel going through those movements, and trying to relate with them on a completely different level of just fitness is important.
Everybody has a wall.
Totally.
Some people have the wall right in front of themselves.
Yes.
Right? You got to push through that wall. I remember years ago, it actually was 10 years ago now, that the day I was doing exercises, and the first diamond push-up I was doing 50 minutes into the session, and Michael, who's obviously part of every podcast that we do, he's our technical director.
Give me one, you pussy.
Yeah, give me one, right? And I couldn't. Like at that time, 50 minutes in, I couldn't do one. And I said to Michael, I can't do one now, but when I'm finished, I'll give you way more than one.
Yep.
And a year later, I was doing, 20, 30 diamond push-ups 50 minutes in.
Yeah.
So you got to push through that wall.
And yeah, that's extremely important to explain to people, that a lot of people think they'll come in and in a month things will be great. But it's not a month. It's not a year. It's not 2 years. This should be a lifestyle. If you really want to see longevity, health, wellness, the whole spectrum, you have to make this part of your lifestyle. And part of your lifestyle is making that time every single week.
Okay, so we talked about water. Now we're confronted in every community. Doesn't matter if you're living in a small town, big city. Every street, every corner has a McDonald's. It has a Tim Hortons. It has a Dairy Queen, an Arby's, a Kentucky Fried Chicken, a Subway. I mean, you name it. They're overloaded in every community.
Yep.
To live a healthy lifestyle, it's probably not the choice you're going to make. Because you can go through a drive-through and continue through the day. And I know, because I lived it. I lived that situation. You go to a grocery store, there's even more confusion for the average person, because the way the grocery store is built, most of the people that you're working with probably doesn't even go through those middle aisles. In most cases, they stay on the outside. Right.
And that's what I was going to say. Most of the stuff that you're going to benefit from is on the outside of the aisle. On the
outside of the aisle.
You walk around, you start in Sobeys, our local Sobeys. You go right. What do you get? Fruits, vegetables, all the things that are grown, not produced.
Right.
You go back to the back. What do you get? You get meat, fish, protein, all the things that, one of the macronutrients.
Absolutely.
And then it's, so many people they take the easy way because, like you said, it's convenient.
You go through, and simplistic.
You drive through, you get your meal, you have everything per se that you need, but it's not everything you need. It's the opposite.
It's why you're always hungry too, because you're not getting the nutrients you need, or you're eating too much of one part of the ingredients, or the preservatives that are in the food are just dominating your system. So there's a lot of things that go into that. The way the food's
made.
Yeah, the way it's made. Well, like grass-fed beef versus, produced meat, right? Beef. It's
McDonald's, they've had many controversies with the way that their food has been made and produced.
And I think all those fast food chains are evolving.
They're stepping it up.
Well, they need to.
They have to. Because
there'll be a dinosaur if they don't.
Right, and that's the way the world is going. Like, healthy choices are a huge part of everyday life. When someone walks through McDonald's, if they don't have that healthy option, a lot of the time they'll go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
But it's still a huge issue, the types of foods that people are eating on a daily.
Well, and it's hard because, and we're going to talk about this in future podcasts, but we're dominated by influence, and these companies have spent billions of dollars, on influence. And branding, like literally branding your brain to think, I need to go here. I need to go here to do it. And I know, because I grew up as a kid in our community. I remember when McDonald's was first opened in Bridgewater and how successful and popular it was. And I'm not attacking any of the franchises, but reality is reality. To live a healthy lifestyle, in your opinion, and I know in your group, your team, fast food is probably not part of your ingredient list.
No, I was listening to or watching one of the CrossFit Games documentaries. His name's Justin Medeiros, and he's a rookie.
Pull him up, Mike. Pull up Justin Medeiros.
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and type in Justin Medeiros, Buttery Bros, and he'll come up. But he hasn't eaten fast food in almost 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years. He's only 21. 20 years. He's never.
Well, he didn't eat fast food. He wasn't alive, so he didn't eat fast food because he was breastfeeding.
Yeah. Cut that one out. So he it's just not what you do. It's not how you perform better. It's
hard,
it's
Joel.
Detrimental.
It's hard because I'm going to be the devil's advocate. It's hard for someone that's in a hurry all the time.
Yeah.
Today's families are in a hurry so much. It's hard to do. Now, we have one of your students coming in next week, Candace Ernst.
Yep.
She prepares all her food in advance. I think you just have to kind of re-educate yourself and then utilize your time more efficiently to be able to be prepared.
She has a different mentality than most people, though.
Oh, no question.
She has the drive, the motivation, the dedication to spend on what she does, like, which is meal prep.
Yeah.
Meal prep is huge. And I just brought in healthy meals that are prepared and ready to go for you, for those people who are, who are on a busy schedule. On the very front, it gives you the full breakdown of fats, proteins, and carbs, so your macronutrients, and exactly what is in the meal, so people know exactly what they're getting. And there's no bullshit in it.
Yeah.
Right? There's no things that you can't pronounce. It's just food.
Yeah, there's no chemicals.
Those
chemical words, if you read a box or you read anything and all you see is chemicals, probably you should back away.
Hypoglycerin, chlorine, taurine, and more.
Probably back away.
Yeah, the energy drinks. I mean, it's just a whole downward spiral.
Well, our body is, and I try to explain this globally, even in the countries that we're in, our body is so complex. Mm-hmm. We don't realize it can absorb so much abuse. And then all of a sudden, it shuts down eventually. Some it shuts down sooner than others.
Yeah, there was just an article actually that came up on Facebook, on my Facebook page. This guy drank 4 or 5 energy drinks a day for 7 years. Huh. And his liver just shut down on him. His whole body, he thought he was dying. And he had caffeine toxicity from the amount of energy drinks that he was drinking. And you're right. Yeah, okay, well, it might not ever happen to me, but okay, a year in, 2 years in, 3 years in, you might be okay. Think about 10 years of just constant abuse.
No kidding.
Not just food intake, but your whole surrounding, like drinking every weekend. Okay, yeah, I feel I'm okay now. But think about, when you're 30, 40, 50. Think about when you're 55 and you're still treating your body like that.
This is what we were talking about with the pandemic too, with this wonderful COVID-19 that's happening, is that there's a lot of people. I remember looking on Facebook and the 3-shot challenge. It was everywhere. It seemed like I nominate so and so. And
did you do it?
I even did it.
Did you?
Well, I was just so bored in Cuba. Right? I mean, I was there forever.
Yeah.
But then I said to myself at that point, Dennis, if you're going to do something like that, then do something in a positive way. So what I said was, I want to do a humanitarian good deed challenge. So I watched how many people did the 3-shot challenge. Mm-hmm. So you lining up the bottles, doing the shots, and nominating your friends. When I did the good deed challenge, it didn't last any more than 4 days.
Yeah,
it's amazing how something that is so beneficial, people don't participate in, versus something that is detrimental to your health, they participate. I don't understand human nature that way. I just don't.
I can tell you my theory. My theory is that every human secretly is just finding a way to quickly off themselves a little bit quicker.
I don't know if it's that, Mike, but that's a philosophy.
Well, I mean, it's easier to take a pill than it is to go in and work your ass off in the gym for an hour.
Well, there's a dopamine effect with any alcohol or drug-related item. There is. It modifies your body's system, and some people think they require it. I love the way Joe Rogan puts it. I mean, Joe talks about the discipline of working out, the discipline of nutrition, that it takes discipline, like self-discipline to do it, and that it's necessary. It's not even something that he thinks he knows. It's something he needs to do every day to make sure that he's in his peak performance every day. And I think everybody would want to be in their peak performance if they knew how to be in their peak performance. And that's where, once again, 902 Athletics comes in, because most people don't know. First of all, they don't understand their why big enough, and then they don't know where to go get the how.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it's so much easier. Think about a disease like diabetes.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them is curable by a healthy, active lifestyle, and one of them is actually produced by an inactive, healthy, unhealthy lifestyle. And yes, you can take drugs for it, and it does suppress or help the disease, but so does exercise. Why is one of them used? Because it's easier.
I agree.
It's easier to take a pill.
Well,
right?
and the other thing is that,
Or a
and
needle.
I don't even want to get into this today because it could be a 2-hour conversation, but our medical system in our country is not built on prevention
No,
at all.
no.
It's just not.
It isn't.
Right?
There is no preventative health care. There is just let's try to fix the problem that we've created.
I remember in 2013, I had a mucus infection from a cold that I had in the Caribbean that turned into a bacterial infection.
Yep.
Went to the doctor. I won't say who the doctor was, but they prescribed prednisone.
And I was on that for 4 months.
6 weeks, I gained 36 pounds.
Yeah, brutal.
I felt like a wood chipper, right? I went every night because I couldn't sleep. I would research every night on how to eliminate mucus in your body. So you eliminate red meat, you eliminate dairy, you eliminate grains, you drink, apple cider vinegar 3 times a day. All those things dramatically changed my situation, and it wasn't from a doctor. So I came to the conclusion, and I'm not saying all doctors, I'm not at all, but they're there to mask a problem that you continue to have to buy the medication that.
Yeah, I mean, I look at 902 Athletics as preventative healthcare.
Absolutely.
That's our main goal, is to help people stay healthy or prevent disease. There's many people who come through our doors who are already in that state, but there's many who we get early enough, and youth that may not have taken this type of lifestyle, and they're gonna continue it on even if they go to university. Then we ingrain that into their brains that healthy, active living paired with exercise is going to keep you going.
Well, talk about the youth. What are we taught in school? That pyramid, right? We're taught that the pyramid of food that we're supposed to eat.
Nutrition.
Absolutely, right? I mean, it's amazing and it's evolved because a lot of the food ingredients that are put in that pyramid when I was in school, which was a little while ago,
well, me too,
was built on industries that lobbied to be on the pyramid. Right? I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And we were, a feast or flight type of species for a long time, right? We would eat and run. And today we're just so sedentary. We're so relaxed. We work way too much.
Yep.
I mean, even society today, it's 7 days a week. Stores are open 7 days a week. There are no rest days anymore. It's a go society. And are we in a better situation? I don't think so. I don't think.
Higher stressed.
Oh, I mean, look at the medication, the sleeping pills that people take. I mean, it's catastrophic. And I'm worried about where we're going. So let's go back to that grocery store again before we get onto a different tangent. But let's talk about some of the ingredients that you feel your students should have on a daily basis. Or let's just talk about what you eat on a daily basis.
So I'll wake up in the morning, and the first thing that I eat, and people have to realize that it's so individualized.
Of course.
And that you can't take one for another.
Right.
Banana, glass of water, and my tea, because I quit coffee. And
what kind of tea?
Just a black tea.
A black tea?
Yeah, I go over to the Mahone Bay brewery, brewery, and I get loose tea and brew it myself in the morning. And water, the very first thing that I do. Around 11 o'clock, I'll have a carb with a protein for fuel for my workout. I try not to I try not to put fat into my meal before I work out.
Right.
I feel sluggish. I feel heavy. And then immediately after, also do a protein and a carb. What that is, it can change. So this morning it was turkey, rice, sweet potato. And that's what I ate before. And then after, I had another banana. And I had another banana. And then I had one of the meals. I had one of the meals which had ground beef, lettuce, tomato, pickle, and then a whole wheat wrap.
It's funny because two of the guys that I follow exclusively on a regular basis is Dr. Eric Berg and Thomas DeLauer.
Yeah.
And they go through a multitude of different lifestyles because there's so many different, we'll use the word diets for the person that's listening to the podcast. There's a ketogenic diet. There's a vegan lifestyle. There's a paleo lifestyle.
So I've also tried intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting is a big part of today. I know I've learned a lot about it as well. Of you could, performance-wise, if you intermittent fast effectively, there's been people in the world that fast. There's fasting in different cultures and religions. Right?
Well, I saw one thing. It was on Joe Rogan's podcast where they were talking about who lived the longest in the world.
Yep.
And there's a community or like an island. I can't remember the exact name of where it was, but they live. A large percentage of those people live to be 100 plus.
Yep.
Way higher than the rest of the world. And they were wondering, well, what could be different about them? And they check their diet and stuff, and it's all about their diet, and just there's nothing about the place they are or anything. There's nothing different about the people. It's just about how they live.
Yeah.
And they live a better lifestyle.
It's not just diet, though, but I mean, you could live next to a place that has a waterfall with negative ions coming from the water. Stress.
Yep.
If you're not running to work and having 3 kids going to play sports every day and going to bed at 11, 12, 1, 2 in the morning, getting up at 5 in the morning to go to work again, lifestyle's a big part of it.
Yeah, like you said, it's always more. We need more. I need to do more. And it builds up to a point where you hit, and this is burnout, which I've hit. I've hit burnout.
Yeah.
When I first started my business, when I got out of my parents' garage and into that first facility, and I didn't have any staff, and that's where I ended up getting sick. And it was a direct relation to that.
Yeah.
I was working and starting at 6 a.m. and leaving at 9:30 p.m. and doing that Monday to Friday. You can do that for a year. I did it for 2 years. But at some point, you need to invest in people because your health is the first.
Well, if you don't have your health, Joel, doesn't matter how much money you have.
So true.
If you lose your health, you'd pay anything to get it back.
Yeah, I remember when my uncle got sick. And he said, if you don't have your health, and that's what my dad always says to me, if you don't have your health, you have nothing.
I've learned in this journey, in the 10 years, this last decade of my life, quality versus quantity. I stay in the quality component of my life. Relationships, and needs versus wants. Do you really need this, or do you just want it?
Yeah.
If you stay in the need category, you'll have less stress.
Yeah, I try to teach that in the CrossFit realm as well.
Okay.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
A lot of people think CrossFit's constantly varied, high-intensity functional movements, which means AMRAPs, as many reps as possible. And people mistake that AMRAP for just improper movement. So they'll come in and they'll skip the movement standards,
right,
and they'll go directly to intensity. And when you skip the movement standards and you don't have the base, that's where you hurt yourself. And that's where, like CrossFit itself has come up with the brand of this cult and this drink the Kool-Aid and you're going to go in, you're going to hurt yourself. But if it's done right and it's scaled appropriately, and you have the professionals that actually care, relating back to what you have talked about, caring for the individual, then you build this brand of fitness that isn't even CrossFit. It's now your own thing. You know, you're still doing CrossFit, but a lot of people can do shitty CrossFit.
True.
Right? A lot of people, anybody can do shitty CrossFit.
Yeah.
You can set up a gym and say you're doing CrossFit. Great. Let's see what happens in 6 years and how many members you have and how many of the same members you have who are completely okay.
That's what I first heard about CrossFit is the dangers or people saying, oh, well, that's just people throwing a bunch of weight around, all
really trying to go really fast.
Just trying to go as fast as they can, and they're throwing it, not doing it properly.
Yep.
And I was like, well, are they really, though? Because a lot of them are looking really good friggin' shape, and they're coming out of it looking all right. So,
well, intensity in any system or any training program, intensity is normally what brings results.
Right.
You know, and that's why CrossFit works, because it's intense. And there can be a level playing field between intensity and quality. You can still move fast and move well, but you do have to slow it down for a lot of people who are in their later years and decrease the impact, decrease modification, scalability, universally scalable.
I mean, really, Joel, I mean, there's so many systems out there. There is no one perfect fit. I really believe that there's a demographic of people that always reach out to a specific thing that interests them.
Yep.
CrossFit's not for everyone.
No.
The Beachbody brand isn't for everyone. Yep. The thing that I like is that you have is the culture and the support system
and multiple avenues to do types of training.
If you don't have the culture and the support system, it takes an incredibly disciplined person like a Candace Ernst to do it all by yourself. Mm-hmm. The average person needs someone or a group to be able to support them for accountability, because we all go through the hills and valleys.
I just took my word out of my mouth. Accountability. Mm-hmm. It's accountability from a organization is what makes people come back. You know what I mean? So many people will start something, they'll stick to it for 3 to 4 weeks, and then they'll fall off because of their lifestyle, because of the demands of their family, their kids, their job. And it's our responsibility from a 902 Athletics standpoint to keep them accountable and keep them coming back so that they see the results that they can achieve. Because without accountability, it's kind of like, okay, well, what am I coming to? And on that avenue of accountability, you have to make people actually want to show up. You have to make those workouts enjoyable. You have to make the people that they are seeing every single day want them to get better. We want to motivate them.
Well, you're a past baseball player. We'll use that.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Even though I think if we started a team next year, you'd still make the effort to come out and play.
Yep.
The reality is that baseball is similar, that it's an individualized sport where you individually have to walk up to the plate, but you're part of a team atmosphere. Yep. The score is a team score. That's what I like about what you've done, recognizing people for their classes that they've attended. Yeah. Because that's a team. It's an individual accomplishment in a team environment.
Yep.
It means that they've attended a lot of classes with other people.
Yep.
And it motivates the other people that have been part of those classes
to get
there too. Yep. So you're setting an example, and that's what I call a standard of excellence.
Yeah, and they take that patch, because that patch is everything. Well, and I make it everything because I truly care about every single person that walks through the doors. I mean, when you get up into the 400s of members, it's hard to. People talk about how many social connections you can actually give 100% effort to.
Right.
And once you get up past the hundreds, it's hard to keep the social connections. Absolutely. So you need to have that support staff that are going to keep the other ones. For example, I'm a morning coach. I get there at 5 a.m. and I leave right about, normally at 1 o'clock.
Right.
And the evening crew, my evening coaches, need to have that same mentality, that same drive, that same passion that I try to instill in them, so that when I'm not there, it's like, it's okay, Joel's not here. 902 is bigger than me. It's bigger than, it's bigger than just Joel showing up daily. It's a whole community, and I shouldn't have to be there for it to be the exact same experience every time.
Well, it's the brand.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you set a standard of excellence in your brand, then everyone follows that standard of excellence, whether you're there or not. Mm-hmm. That's as very similar as a franchise. It really is. But you don't have to be a franchise to hold that standard of excellence. Yeah. I want to go back to that recognition that you provide for your people. Recognition, there's a phrase called recognition. Babies cry for it, people die for it. That's why in the military they provide medals.
Yep.
Right? People want to be recognized for their accomplishments. The other thing that's most important to people that I tell people all the time, if I'm in a restaurant, whether it's in the Dominican, Canada, Cuba, I tell people all the time, find out the waitress's name and introduce yourself. Your name is so important. So if Joel comes through 902 Athletics and it's, hey, good morning, and you never say anyone's name, it means you haven't taken the time to get to know them and know who they are. And that's why you say when you get into the hundreds, it's almost impossible to know everybody. But when you say, good morning, Dennis, and if I'm in your class,
but we do,
it means more to me.
That's why we have a whiteboard.
100%,
so
right?
Every single person that walks through our door gets their name on a whiteboard, and whether they're putting their score on or not,
I love it.
They get a happy face if they don't put their workout on.
I love it.
And I know every single person's name walking through our doors up into the 400s. And it's important.
So the journey,
mm-hmm.
What some of your, without giving away secrets, let's talk about what's coming up this weekend.
Yep.
Right? Part of your brand in 902 Athletics is about the CrossFit, 100%. And the CrossFit Games are coming this weekend.
Global. So globally right now, with the pandemic, the first stage already happened, and the top 5 Games athletes are now in Aromas in California at the ranch, and they're competing for the fittest in the world through different events that Dave Castro and the CrossFit Games crew are planning to put on. So the top 5 are Matt Frazier, Noah Olson, Justin Madero, Samuel Quant, and Jeffrey Adler. And then on the ladies' side...
By the way, he's a Canadian. The 5th most fit individual is a Canadian, which is very cool.
Yeah.
9 and 10's Canadians too?
So Patrick Vellner, I think he was 9th. And then on the women's side, it's Tia Claire Toomey, Brooke Wells, Haley Adams, Katrin Davis-Daughter, and Carrie Pierce. And then in the 11th was Caroline Reason-DeBow. She's from up in Quebec.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and these athletes now, CrossFit's becoming, you're able to make a living off of it, of doing fitness.
Right.
It's crazy.
Well, you can pound a bunch of weights, but if you can't breathe, you're not much of an athlete.
No, so they have to have everything. They have to have a strength component, a stamina component. They need to be able to do a max sprint. Like these are some of the workouts that they're coming up, and like if you see this in 3 days and you have to do these workouts, it's like, what? These Games athletes, and you see their bodies, like they look like they're gladiators.
Yeah. Well, in a way they are.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
If you think about it. They're the most
gladiators of fitness.
Well-trained mentally and physically gifted athletes, because they're almost like a hybrid athlete.
They are.
Which is really if you're going to live any kind of longevity, you need to have, and there's different levels. To be the most, one of the greatest athletes in the world is one thing, but just to be your own greatest athlete.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. Sometimes people compare themselves to those that they say, I could never be that.
Yeah. I
don't think that's, when you tear that down and say, well, you just want to be the best version of you can be, whatever that is. So
true. And that's our brand, being the best version of you, coming in and doing what you can do, not focusing on what anybody else can do. We have people walk in and do a class right beside a completely different competitors. One person who's trying to get their best score, and others who are just trying to come in and sweat and feel good and move.
Absolutely.
So you need to focus on, well, okay, like I didn't get the score today, but that's not what it's about.
No.
It's about the health and wellness.
Well,
avenue.
And then the performance goes into other areas of your life. You're talking about work. You're more sharp at work. Your relationships seem to be better because of your mindset.
Yep.
There's less, your attitude is a little, you attract different people because of your attitude. Your sexual performance, right? I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, as you get older,
you need to be in shape.
You got to be in shape, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. So it's something, and let's be clear on this. I mean, CrossFit's a big part of your facility, but it's not the only thing.
No, I have multiple, and CrossFit, BFit, which is our boot camp.
Yeah.
Personal training.
Absolutely.
Athletic training. We do all the sports teams here. Hockey, baseball, volleyball, soccer, everything. We're
and those areas. I've watched our junior hockey team. I've watched our baseball players. I'm my brother's in the hockey world. I'm in the baseball world, where you've helped us in your facility and has advanced people who may not have ever been drafted into an area where they have been drafted. So providing that service to not just here and where we live, but anywhere in the world, when you have a facility with these kind of components like you have, it gives people a better opportunity. And I think that's whether you're a parent and you have children and you say, what do you want for your children? I think the biggest thing parents want for their kids is just opportunities.
Yeah, I want, and when I moved back from Calgary, I want Bridgewater to be a place that people don't want to leave. When I was a kid, I wanted to leave.
Yeah,
there was no opportunities. There was nothing to do. I want Bridgewater now to be the place when, I want to move to Bridgewater because there are opportunities.
Right.
And just on the staffing basis of my staff, multiple staff might not be here anymore if I wouldn't have provided a job for them.
Right. They have to go somewhere else.
We're supporting not just the community, but we're supporting the economic community as well, which I value. And I see extreme importance in, and getting more businesses here. With this pandemic, people don't want to be in big cities anymore. Look at the housing market right now, the real estate. So many people are purchasing, like I'm talking to my friends who are real estate agents.
I've seen it.
They're not even looking at the house themselves. They're seeing it online and saying, buy it. And they're moving from Ontario.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's like we are in a boom right now, which is crazy to say after a pandemic. But I think we are on the upswing, as long as we don't shut down again.
I think as well, when you deal with the character building situation that we are globally, I know my businesses have been affected by it, and I know yours has as well.
Very much.
I own a travel agency, so that tells you right there, right? Our Goodwill tours have been affected by it. It teaches you to re-evolve yourself. It teaches you to reignite your passions and to go in different areas. If you go way back in the human race, we've had to evolve in certain times in our lives because of adversity.
If you don't evolve, you die.
Well, and that's, I think we're so sedentary right now in society. We're so used to being that repetitive day in and day out type of society. And this pandemic has changed that.
Yep.
I hope so, because the quality of life that I think we need to live isn't all about the big cars, the big this, the big that. It's what, once I go back to that need versus want, chasing money all the time, chasing money. We all need some of it to be able to.
You need to pay. Number one, you need to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You need to have food on the table.
Yeah.
You need right. And at the end of the day, for example, I'll give you mine. My biggest thing that I want to be able to do is do my own schedule, have my own schedule, go to work when I want to go to work. I want to be able to train, and I want to be able to support my family,
right?
My cats,
and your
Maria.
family, exactly. All right, well, we've had Joel Holland here on the weekly Woodcast. Joel, thanks so much for coming in. I'm sure we'll have you in again to do a second version of this at some point. How can people reach out to you online to find out where you are and the services that you provide at the facility?
www.902athletics.ca, or email me at joel@902athletics.ca, 902athletics.ca.
Sounds great. All all the best in future success, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the gym.
Thanks for having me.
Or at the facility.
Yes, sir.
All right.